Pistols are oftentimes severely overlooked in most Fortnite metas, and that's a shame really because Fortnite actually has a wide selection of very, very good pistols. But on the other side of the spectrum, Fortnite also has a handful of pistols that are really awful. And that's what we're going to take a little dive into today. We're going to revisit some of Fortnite's worst pistols of all time. These are some of those pistols and weapons that you'd probably honestly just be better off using your pickaxe than using any of these pistols. If you go on to enjoy this video, be sure to leave me a like and use code TYFRYZ in the Fortnite item shop if you would like to support the work that I do here on YouTube. And let's get into it. I honestly hate to put this weapon on this list. I really do, but it has to be Deadpool's dual hand cannons. I thought Deadpool's yacht is one of the best POIs we've ever seen. So creative, and the whole Deadpool theme around Chapter 2, Season 2, and that being the secret skin was so hype for so many people. But man, did they miss the mark big time on these pistols. I can't believe they really underdid the pistols this much. I mean, it's Deadpool's weapons. You would think that they would have kind of overdone it and nerfed it, but no, they were really bad. The whole catch with this weapon was that you would get siphon for every time that you hit somebody with the pistols, but guess what? It was only 3 health or shield per shot. Every time you hit somebody, you got 3 health back. That is ridiculous. I mean, it's almost laughable. 3 is so bad. The base damage on the pistols was fine. Like, they're just your typical dual wield pistols. And honestly, actually weaker than our regular dual pistols. But 3 health is just putrid. I mean, think about it. If you're going to kill somebody in 6-7 shots anyways, you're getting what, 18, 20 health back? Like, that's not doing anything except for those really niche situations where maybe you land the final shot on somebody, you get the 3 health back, and they get you down to 1 HP. That's literally the only time I can think about it. And how often did that really happen? Look, again, I hate to put this on here because I loved the whole Deadpool collab, but in a season like Chapter 2, Season 2, with so many dominant mythic weapons, Deadpool's dual hand cannons fell to the bottom of that list and honestly are one of the worst mythics ever. Maybe in a different season, this would be a little bit of a different story, but just did not fit in Chapter 2, Season 2, and were really bad pistols. Next, let's talk about what I believe to be the worst Fortnite pistol ever introduced. That's the Makeshift Revolver. Look, I hate Chapter 2, Season 6, but even if I wasn't a Chapter 2, Season 6 hater, you have to admit this pistol was just horrendous. And look, I have to preface this every time I talk about any of the makeshift weapons from Chapter 2, Season 6. They were designed to be weak. They were meant to be worse weapons that you would then upgrade to higher weapons, aka the Primal weapons, but hint hint, this is not the only pistol we'll see from Chapter 2, Season 6 on this list. If I remember correctly, it had no first shot accuracy, just like the majority or all of the makeshift weapons, so good luck hitting more than 1 or 2 shots with this single fire pistol, which absolutely should have first shot accuracy. The bloom is just terrible. I genuinely don't have a good thing to say about this pistol. I would legitimately use every other weapon that was in that season over the Makeshift Revolver. I think most people were expecting this to be on the list, so I don't think that this is going to be a surprise to anybody watching this video, but the Makeshift Revolver is absolutely, in my mind, the worst pistol in Fortnite history. And while we're on the topic of ripping into Chapter 2, Season 6, let's talk about the Primal Pistol. And as I just previously mentioned, and if you know anything about this season, Primal weapons were supposed to be the better weapons. That was just the truth. It took a lot more work to craft them, and so you were supposed to get rewarded, and they decided to add a 2-burst pistol. Let me just say something, that is a disaster to begin with, but to have a 2-round burst pistol with horrible accuracy is just a total mess waiting to happen. I mean, if you're going to make a 2-round burst pistol, it better be accurate. And again, there was just no reason to ever use this weapon in Chapter 2, Season 6. I think a lot of people do believe that this is one of the worst pistols of all time, and I would agree with them. There's just nowhere in your inventory to hold this thing. Use a Primal SMG, use a Primal AR, use anything over this. It's got a cool design, sounds kind of cool, I guess, and is a unique idea, but just failed on all fronts. And yeah, Chapter 2, Season 6 in general just didn't have much going for it. Next, let's talk about the 6-shooter, and this is kind of an interesting one. I'm specifically talking about the base 6-shooter here, not the Marksman 6-shooter, and yes, while I do believe the Marksman 6-shooter is a pretty bad pistol, the ability to do 70 headshot damage plus with first shot accuracy on a pistol cannot be understated, and at least pushes it to kind of that middle area of not great but not terrible. But with the 6-shooter, you did not get any of the advantages that the Marksman 6-shooter did, and for that reason, the 6-shooter just falls to the bottom. I will be 100% honest with you, I think the 6-shooter is my least favorite weapon in Fortnite history. They tried to like make a better version of the revolver by making it so that you can fire faster from the hip. If you remember, the fire rate was actually much faster from the hip versus when you aim down sights, Fortnites, and it is a unique idea. It's cool, like that kind of Wild West theme. It's a good idea, but just poor execution. And you really have to remember what these pistols are going up against. I mean, they're going up against the Mammoth pistol, the Flintlock, the Tactical pistol, all these insane pistols, and you can see when you just kind of compare the 6-shooter to any of those pistols I just named, or even other ones like the Deagle, you can see why the 6-shooter is on this list. If you could chain together like 2 or 3 shots out of a very small magazine, you could do 60, 70, 80 damage, which is not terrible. But just as I said with the previous pistols on this list, there's just not a spot in your inventory to take this. You're much better off with an SMG or even a sniper in that kind of 4th or 3rd slot in your inventory. Marksman 6-shooter is okay, regular 6-shooter is horrible. And while we're kind of on the topic of exotic items, let's talk about the scoped revolver as well as the Nighthawk. They're just so similar, I have to put them together. If you remember, the Nighthawk is just a thermal scoped version of the scoped revolver, and there is no need for a scoped revolver in the first place. If you're going to use a scoped revolver, you're better off with either a scoped AR, a DMR, or a sniper. The scope pistol is like trying to be all 3 of those at once, and it just doesn't work in any case. And to me, the thermal scope from the Nighthawk just doesn't move the needle to make it a top tier pistol. I actually believe the Nighthawk is one of the worst exotics ever. I just don't see why you would use this over a sniper or over a scoped AR. Like, if you're going to use long range, just use a better long range scoped weapon. If you want to use close range, just use a better close range scoped weapon. It just does nothing great. It is painfully mid in my opinion, and I think it's deserving of a spot in some of Fortnite's worst pistols of all time. And I saved my hot take for the end of this video, so if you're still watching, thanks for watching up to this point. That is going to be the base revolver, just the regular revolver that has been in the game, in and out of the game for years. And I'm honestly talking about both the regular revolver and the kind of reskinned one that we've seen in purple legendary forms. You know what I'm talking about. My problem with this weapon is just how difficult it is to use. You have to be a very specific type of player, a very good player, and a very accurate player, as well as very patient to use the revolver and excel with it. We've all seen that crazy Ninja clip where he has like the quad feed, the 1v4 with revolvers only. Like, only Ninja and a select few people could ever do that. I think in most players' hands, the revolver is not great. The one thing that the revolver has going for it is that headshot damage. If you hit a headshot, you're doing over 100 damage, which of course is a big beefy shot from a pistol. I think if you ask 90% of players if they'd rather have the tactical pistol or a fully auto pistol over the revolver, I think 90% would probably say yes, they would. I also think there's some nostalgia behind this weapon. Of course, this is one of the original Fortnite weapons. If you remember, honestly, this is a crazy memory, but from Sniper Shootout, when you could use the revolver in Sniper Shootout, I mean, dude, what were we doing? But nostalgia aside, I think the revolver lacks when compared to some of the top tier pistols. I'm honestly fine with it not being in the game. I don't miss it at all, and that's just because I could never use it, but I do understand that there were some people that really loved the revolver and were really good with it, so that's why I consider this kind of a controversial take here on this list. Alright guys, that was my list for some of Fortnite's worst pistols ever in the history of the game. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Did I hit on all? Did I miss on some? I love interacting with you guys in the comment section, so yeah, let me know. If you would like to see me revisit some of Fortnite's best pistols of all time, I absolutely can do that, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.